Hello and welcome to this crafting video with myself, Anthony Minnis. In this video I'm going to be turning this simple glass coffee jar into something quite unique and hopefully give it a beautiful shabby chic look. The moulds that I've used on this particular project are from Karen Davis Sugarcraft, so please be sure to check their website out. Right, without further ado, let's get crafting and turn this simple coffee jar into something shabby chic. Okay, now as it's glass, I would normally say that you can go ahead and use some primers, but I'm using a chalk paste from Prima Redesign that I know works pretty much well on glass without any use of primers. But like I say, it's entirely up to you. If you know you've got a product that works on glass, then go for it. So I'm just going to pounce this using a foam sponge all over the entire surface of my jar, including the moulded elements. Right, when we got to the stage where we have covered the entire jar, it's now just time to let it dry, or you can force dry it with a craft heat tool. That's what I'm going to do now. So once all of the chalk paint has dried on the glass jar, I'm just going to grab some of that same chalk paint. Okay, I'm just going to pop that into a little palette. Okay, so you won't need that much. Just going to pop that in there, and then also with that I'm just going to pop some black acrylic paint, again not too much so it turns it too dark. It's just a little daub of that, so I just want to make it slightly darker than the original colour. I'm just going to add some water, so just going to spray some of that so we make it a really runny consistency of the paint. So just mix that all up so you can see they're just slightly darker than our original colour. And I'm just going to darken that a little bit more. Once you give it a mix, you can see the black has been taken to that grey, so we're just going to go for a little bit of a darker colour. So we're just going to add a little bit more black, and then just do that until you're happy that you're going to get basically enough contrast between the original colour and the colour wash. So again, just give that a good old mix and just keep on adding the colour, the dark colour, if you think the contrast isn't enough. So I'm just going to spray a little bit more water inside that so it has a real runny consistency. Okay, and just again mix just that in, and then we will be good to go and apply the wash. So what we need to do is have a baby wet wipe at hand. You can get them so they're biodegradable now, and then we're just going to go just over the actual sort of like leaf area. Okay, don't let it sit on there for too long before then wiping it off. So just going to go down to about there. Okay, making sure you're going to get into all those little nooks and crannies. Okay, so just almost just going around that, then taking your damp cloth and just wipe that away. Okay, don't be too precious about it. Okay, and then just almost like blend it in, if that makes sense, to the other colour that's on there. So just keep on doing that type of effect just all over the jar. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just using the cloth and I'm just basically passing it over what is the plain colour on the jar, and that's just to help break up so you don't get like a nasty line in between. So it's almost patting colour just back onto that jar. Okay, and that's going to give you that nice sort of like mottled effect between the paint that is round the beautiful leaves there. So just keep on going like that. So that's the type of effect we're wanting to achieve. So we've done the part now where it's around the leaves. We're just going to go on to the top section here. So exactly again as we did before, just make sure you give that a nice coat of the darker colour. Really get into all those deep crevices that particular mould actually has in it. So really go in there. Like before, don't go too far around before you then just wipe it off, and straight away you can see there it's just bringing out all of that detail. Okay, so again, if you feel as though there's like a hard line, then just use the same cloth. Okay, and just dab that back on. That's going to add that little bit of colour back in there. So just keep on going round until you're happy that you've got a nice even finish. Okay, so you can see now this beautiful mottled sort of like effect over the entire jar is now sort of like taking a little bit of shape sort of thing. So what I'm going to do now, before I sort of like do too much more, I'm just going to fully dry that, and then we'll see how it looks before we go on to the next step and possibly just add a little bit more of the paint texture in there. So once that's dry, just have a look at it, and if there's sort of like any patch areas you're not happy with, what you do, or what I do, is just pop a little bit of paint actually on the cloth and just go in there and just dab that. Okay, and then almost just blend it in by going over the same area time and time again, and then before you know it, you haven't got sort of like that hard line, and it's just all blending in on itself. So just a little bit down there, so I sort of find that a little bit of a hard line. So again, just go in with the cloth, with the paint on, and just keep on going over that area until it just softens that overall hard line that was there. So there's no right and no wrong way of producing this, so just keep on going in there until you're happy with the overall effect. The most important thing is that you just keep on actually drying it in between some of the effects or that you're dabbing on there, because before you know it, you may go a little bit too dark, which won't ruin anything because you can then go back over with the lighter colour. So as I said, just play. If you see any sort of like really harsh areas that sort of like offend your eye, then just go back and just dab over with your cloth with a little bit of paint on. Okay, so our jar is completely dry. I'm just going to now accentuate some of this detail with some dry brushing. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use the back of a mould, okay, and I'm just going to take a little bit of our original colour paint, okay, and I'm just going to use my dry brushing brush, so it's the one that is really worn out, but it's got quite stiff bristles on it, okay, and then I'm just going to turn that around. And dry brushing is one of those techniques you're going to get used to, and it's literally just tickling the surface. Okay, so you're not going to do it in one foul swoop, just going to build it up, so it's basically just hitting the highlights or the high areas of the cast piece of your clay. So you can see I'm just going in a couple of different directions just to pick up on the edges of the leaves and just the very tip of that detail. So just keep on going over that. I do have a video all about the technique of dry brushing that I explain in a lot more detail, so please hunt out that video on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to go over that in, like I say, all the different areas to pick out some of that detail, and then I'll be back to show you at the end. So once the paint is completely dry on the jar, I'm just going to add a little bit more detail. So I'm going to use the mould that I've actually used from Karen Davis Sugarcraft. And as you can see, this is the same mould that I actually used to create all the detail going around the actual jar. But it's also got some other little bits of detail, and that's these little like berries here. So I'm just going to cast some of those using Hearty air drying clay. So I'm going to be casting these two berries here, quite a few of them, and I'm going to be using Hearty clay. Now if you've never ever used Hearty clay before, then please take a look at my video, which is also on my channel. But basically you want it so it's fairly dry, so then it won't stick to the mould. Otherwise you're going to be having to use corn flour. But have a look at the video and it will explain in detail how to get the very best results using Hearty clay. So I'm just going to press that one into the mould and then just simply flex that mould, and there we go. That is the amazing detail you're going to be achieving every single time using the moulds. So I'm just going to pop some more clay into there, and it's a real quick and easy process. So like I say, I'm just using a Dresden tool. You can be using a ball tool, or indeed just your fingers, entirely up to you, whatever you find is the easiest. So again, press that down, flex the mould right back, and hey presto, there we go. So you can see making embellishments for cards or just like your 3D projects is really nice and easy and quick using a mould and Hearty clay. So again, just press that one into the smaller one this time, flex that mould right back on itself, and there we go. That is the detail that you can be achieving from the moulds. So like I say, the moulds are available from Karen Davis Sugarcraft, so please head over there and see what you can find. Lots of beautiful moulds. Okay, obviously you can be using in your mixed media projects. So again, just press that in. So basically just want to make sure that the clay is tucked right inside the well area, okay, of the mould. And then when you're good to go, just flex that mould all the way around and remove the little cast. So just leave these overnight and then they're going to be dry, and then we can stick them on to our jar. So I'm going to be using 3D gloss gel to stick all the berries on, but you can be using things like silicone as well. So I'm just going to take some of that out, and we're going to start at the bottom here. So you don't need too much of this. Okay, so just pop that onto there. So don't go too close to the edge, and we're just going to start sticking those down into place. And because you've got two sizes there, entirely up to you obviously which size that you use. So there we go. We're just going to pop that onto there, and the 3D gloss gel is going to be sort of like dry within a few hours, so I wouldn't recommend using anything like a glue gun, because you will find that after a time with a hot glue gun, then basically the glue dries out and the element that you've stuck on just falls off. So what I'm doing here, I'm just using another brush. Let me just grab a softer brush. Let's see if I can just take out some of that overspill on the glue, just so it doesn't show. Oh, it does dry transparent, but it's just cleaning things up as I go. Okay, let's just pop those there. And it's going to give you plenty of time to just move those berries around until you find just the right position for them. So again, just pop a little bit on there, and then just find a space on your project that you're going to place that onto. Right, so here we go. I'm just going to place that one there. So we're going to work in threes, and again, if there's any glue that spills out, just take that away. So I'm going to continue around the jar, just adding those, and then I'll be back to show you the end result. So the berries are now stuck in place, so all that's left to do is to do a little bit of dry brushing. So as before, I'm going to use the back of a mould and some white acrylic paint, and we won't need much, probably about that much. So I'm going to get my dry brushing brush, the one with a very, very short bristles on, and I'm just going to start to dry brush over the top of all of these berries. So the trick is, like I say, to have hardly any paint actually on your brush and just literally just tickle the surface of all those cast elements that we've taken from the mould a little bit earlier on. And as you can see, straight away that just tones it down a little bit into the surroundings. So I'm just going to keep on going over that area there, and then the other berries, and then I'll be back. So there we go, the coffee jar is now complete. So just dry brushing over those berries, as you can see, just knocks it back and blends it in to the rest of the jar. Well, I hope you've liked the content of this video. If so, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and why not click on that notifications button as well. That will allow you to be notified of all brand new content that I upload to my YouTube channel. Well, until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching, and hope you can join me again real soon. Until then, take care.